Thinking of buying property in Mexico? Whether it's for vacation, retirement, or investment, you'll want to get it right. Mexico's rules and processes aren't the same as the US or Canada, and skipping steps can lead to stress, delays, or expensive surprises. I'm going to walk you through the essentials you need to check before you buy in Mexico. Legal structure, hidden costs, picking the right area, and what happens after you own, so you can buy smart. And if you're considering property in the Riviera Nayarit, especially in Lo de Marcos or nearby towns, this video will help you understand exactly how to do it right. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about how ownership works. If you're not a Mexican citizen, the rules change based on location. Mexico has a restricted zone, which covers roughly 31 miles from the coast and 62 miles from an international border. Since Lo de Marcos and most of the Riviera Nayarit are coastal areas, they fall within this restricted zone. In those areas, foreigners can't hold the title directly in their own name. Don't panic, that doesn't mean you can't own near the beach. It usually means you'll use a fideicomiso, which is a bank trust. Think of it like this: the bank holds the title as trustee, you're the beneficiary, and you have full rights to live in, rent out, or sell the property whenever you want. It's a standard legal setup used by many US and Canadian buyers. If you're buying somewhere outside the restricted zone, say a place in central Mexico, you can often take title in your own name, similar to buying at home. The key is simple. Before you fall in love with a property, confirm which ownership structure applies and set it up correctly with a local attorney or a professional real estate team like Galvan Real Estate and Services, who understands the process from start to finish. Now, due diligence. In Mexico, you really don't want to skip the homework. Make sure the property has a clear title. You're checking for liens, disputes, or any irregularities. Pay special attention to something called ejido land. That's community or agricultural land, and foreigners can't buy it unless it's been fully privatized. You want documented proof that it's been converted to private ownership before you go any further. You'll also work with a notario publico. This isn't just a basic notary stamp like you might be used to. In Mexico, a notario is a government-appointed legal official who verifies title, prepares the deed, collects taxes, and formalizes the transfer. Pick a trustworthy notario, ideally not the one recommended by the seller, so your interests are protected. Contracts will almost always be in Spanish, which is the legally binding version. Even if you get an English translation, have a bilingual attorney or translator review the Spanish contract before you sign. And while you're at it, have your lawyer or notario confirm there are no unpaid utilities, HOA fees, or property taxes attached to the home. You don't want those becoming your problem on closing day. Bottom line, spend a little upfront on legal checks and you'll save yourself a lot of pain later. Next, let's talk money, because the list price isn't the final price. You'll want to budget for closing costs that commonly land in the 6 to 10% range. That can include notary fees, transfer taxes, legal fees, registration, and more. If you're buying through a fideicomiso, there's a setup fee and an annual trust fee to plan for. Ongoing costs are generally friendly. Mexico's property taxes are often quite low, but they still need to be paid on time. If you're moving money from the US or Canada, pay attention to exchange rates and timing. Currency shifts can add or subtract thousands. Then there are the sneaky extras: HOA dues in gated communities, insurance in coastal or hurricane-prone regions, routine maintenance and repairs. Some buyers discover past debts or utility bills tied to the property. Another reason due diligence matters. A smart move is to add roughly a 10% cushion on top of the purchase price for closing and setup costs so your budget reflects reality. Let's switch to location, because Mexico is huge and every region has its own personality. If you're focused on the Pacific coast, the Riviera Nayarit offers some of the most beautiful and stable markets for foreigners, from the peaceful village of Lo de Marcos to the lively surf towns of Sayulita, San Pancho, and Bucerías. If you're leaning toward a vacation or rental property, these areas have great rental demand and strong tourism. That said, prices can be higher in popular tourist zones, and short-term rental rules may vary between municipalities. If your plan is full-time living or retirement, you'll love the laid-back lifestyle in Lo de Marcos or La Peñita, quieter, safer, and full of community spirit. Wherever you land, check the basics: internet reliability, consistent water and power, hospital access, safety, and proximity to an airport. The Riviera Nayarit scores well on all of those, but it's still smart to verify. Also, think long-term. Are values trending up? Is it a high tourism zone or more residential? Talking with locals, expats, and agents in the area will give you a clear picture before you commit. Let's talk about what happens after you buy, because planning ahead will save headaches. If you want rental income, check local regulations first. Some areas require permits or limit short-term rentals. If you won't be in Mexico most of the year, line up property management, someone to handle guests, cleaning, repairs, utility payments, and emergencies. That's another area where Galvan Real Estate and Services can help. Our property management division handles vacation rentals, maintenance, and guest support throughout the Riviera Nayarit, so your investment is well cared for even when you're abroad. Owning a home doesn't give you residency or a visa, so if you plan to spend several months a year in Mexico, chat with an immigration advisor about the right visa path for your situation. And think about your eventual exit. Capital gains taxes can apply when you sell, and as a foreign owner, you want meticulous records, purchase contracts, notary receipts, bank trust documents, and proof of improvements. Those documents help establish your cost basis and can significantly affect how much tax you pay later. Your team matters a lot. Start with a real estate agent experienced with international buyers in your target area. We know the fideicomiso process, have relationships with reputable notarios and banks, and can connect you with trusted legal and tax professionals. Add an independent attorney who represents you and only you, and lean on the notario for the official checks and filings. If you need a bank trust, choose a bank with a strong track record and ask specific questions about setup timelines, annual fees, and renewal terms. Finally, speak with your bank or a currency specialist before transferring large sums. Even a small exchange rate difference is meaningful on a big purchase. It may feel like a lot of people, but the right team is your best insurance policy. For US and Canadian buyers, a few extra notes. You don't need to be a Mexican resident to buy property, but your home country likely requires you to report foreign rental income, and capital gains may be due when you sell. A tax professional who understands cross-border issues is worth every penny. Mortgages for foreigners in Mexico can be limited. Many buyers pay cash, use equity from a home back home, or arrange alternative financing. And please keep every document, contracts, closing statements, trust paperwork, and receipts. You'll need them for taxes and for a smooth resale. Our Galvan Real Estate advisors can also connect you with bilingual accountants who specialize in helping expats manage those requirements. Let me wrap with a quick checklist. Make sure you understand the ownership rules for foreigners and confirm whether you'll need a fideicomiso. Don't skip due diligence, verify clear title, avoid ejido pitfalls unless it's fully privatized, and use a trusted notario. Budget realistically, factor in closing costs, trust setup and annual fees, insurance, maintenance, and currency risk. Choose your location to fit your goals. Rental demand, lifestyle, infrastructure, and long-term value. Plan for management, rental rules, visas, and future resale. And assemble a reliable local team, agent, notario, attorney, bank, and if needed, a currency pro and a cross-border tax advisor. If you follow those steps, buying in Mexico can be smooth, safe, and very rewarding. So what's next? If you're serious about purchasing property here in the Riviera Nayarit, especially in Lo de Marcos, reach out to our team at Galvan Real Estate and Services. We handle everything from beachfront homes and condos to land and vacation rentals. You can find our contact information right here on the screen or in the description below. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. On behalf of everyone at Galvan Real Estate and Services, we look forward to helping you make your dream of owning property in Mexico a reality. See you in the next video.